Government corruption has never been more prevalent or caused more harm. It's why extremism is on the rise. It's why the financial gap between the haves and have-nots has never been wider. And it's why our planet is at risk of an extinction level tragedy. That's why I need your help to keep exposing the truth about the rot on both sides of the aisle. Become a supporter or a friend of the show today by clicking on the coffee link in the description box below. Friends of the show join me on a Zoom hangout once a month, and you guys can ask me any questions you want, and I can get to know you better. But the most important reason to help is to keep the show alive. Together, we can and will save our country and our planet. Thanks in advance and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have a bunch of updates to share about the investigations into Donald Trump's alleged attempted coup. So first, this is breaking news. The watchdog group called Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, they go by CREW for short, they obtained communication prior to January 6th, which showed that the Secret Service and other agencies were warned specifically that Vice President Mike Pence was in danger. Those warnings were ignored. Obviously, social media messages specifically called out the vice president by name, and they threatened violence. And those threats were then shared with the Secret Service, the FBI, Capitol Police, and Metropolitan Police Department. This was in a January 4th conference call. These newly obtained documents also revealed that the Secret Service received warnings that the Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, and Three Percenters militia groups were all threatening violence on January 6th. They also warned that neo-Nazi groups were also threatening violence that day. That includes Adam Waffen, Stormfront, and others. So for anyone out there still whining about how, oh, this was a false flag op, this was all planned by the deep state, ask yourself, who was in charge that day? Who was in charge of the government at that time? These were Donald Trump's people. So yeah, this may have been planned in advance. If so, it was planned by Trump himself to try to take out Congress and his VP for refusing to go along with his coup. And this new information definitely makes the destruction of Secret Service text messages look even more nefarious and more deliberate. Speaking of which, Congress members in both the House and the Senate have issued a multitude of letters to both the Department of Homeland Security Secretary and the Secret Service Director in regard to their decision to, quote unquote, implement a software migration. That was, of course, in the days following the Capitol attack. That occurred right about the same time that news broke about the DHS Inspector General purposely concealing information about the Secret Service. So recent reports are saying that back in April of this year, DHS Inspector General Joseph Cuffari disappeared a memo that was written by his staff. The memo was drafted to alert Congress to the fact that Secret Service was barring them from documentation. They were refusing to cooperate in the January 6th review by the IG's office. They were delaying information, informing the IG's office about their deleted text messages. Well, after that memo was sent over to Cuffari, it vanished. And then those details were conveniently left out of Cuffari's semi-annual report to Congress, which is specifically supposed to tell them about this kind of stuff. According to the Guardian news outlet, Cuffari may have violated the Federal Inspector General's Act of 1978. That act required him to report, quote, significantly delayed access to information, including the justification of the establishment for such action. So he's supposed to tell Congress if someone is barring him from getting information and why they're doing it. We also now know that Cuffari himself is under independent investigation by the Council of the Inspectors General on Integrity and Efficiency. So that's a watchdog group. They're actually investigating him. But Cuffari's office is refusing to release some documents to that group, and they've allegedly tried to block interviews. So the guy who's supposed to be the watchdog over government agencies is now refusing to be reviewed and investigated. And we know he has a history of shady activity. And the Washington Post says that over a dozen allegations of misconduct have been reported by whistleblowers and others involving the IG's office, the Inspector General, the guy who's supposed to be the watchdog. Now Kufari is whining to Republican lawmakers. He went running to them and boo-hooing, and now they're trying to step in and they're trying to halt or at least limit the investigation into Kufari and his office, something which an Inspector General watchdog says he's never, ever witnessed in his entire career. He said he's never seen politicians step in a partisan way to stop investigations of an IG. And Kufari is still refusing to recuse himself from this investigation of the missing texts. It's unreal. We also found out that Mitch McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, met with the January 6th committee. Chao, of course, was Donald Trump's transportation secretary. McConnell wants him out. McConnell wants Trump done and over with. So who knows what she said. And the committee has issued a subpoena for the phone records of Arizona election denier Kelly Ward. Ward was very involved in the whole Stop the Steal conspiracy. She is fighting the subpoena in court. So I'll let you guys know where that ends up. We also now know that Eric Hirschman has been issued a subpoena to testify before the grand jury that was convened by the Justice Department. He was also ordered to turn over relevant documents. Hirschman was a senior advisor to Trump. He worked very closely in Trump's White House with his legal counsel, Pat Cipollone. He's also assisted in the January 6th committee investigation, so I doubt he's going to fight them on anything. In regard to the Georgia investigation into Trump's coup plot, Senator Lindsey Graham tried to get out of testifying before that grand jury. Another judge now, a district judge, has ruled that he has to go. His arguments are bullshit. My words, not hers. But we'll see. He's going to take it all the way up the line. He can still appeal. We also learned that Trump's former attorney, Rudy Giuliani, is officially a target of that Georgia investigation. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to be indicted and charged for sure, but it means that it's highly likely, and they are definitely investigating his specific actions to determine if they want to bring charges against him, in addition to possibly others. So Rudy taking the fifth was already pretty likely. Now it's inevitable. And today is the day. He's in there today testifying, and I guarantee we're not going to get anything out of him. In regard to the Wisconsin part of the coup attempt, Trump's allies have officially ended their 14-month fraud in that state that was led by former Wisconsin Supreme Court judge and misogynist Michael Gableman. Election denier and Republican State Assembly Speaker Robin Vos is the person who hired him. He said that he fired Gableman. He sent him a letter. He said that he hasn't spoken with him in quite some time, and he called Gableman, quote, an embarrassment to the state. Now, Vos claims that Gableman refused his orders to remain independent and neutral and non-political, but I'm thinking it's the fact that Gableman recently endorsed Vos' primary opponent. That's probably why there's bad blood at this point. There's all this intrigue, palace intrigue. Vos refuses to overturn the election in the state. Trump says he has the right to do so. Vos says no, he doesn't, which he doesn't under the Constitution. But Gableman is coming in on the side of Trump. So this fraudulent audit, by the way, cost taxpayers over $1 million. And surprise, surprise, they found zero evidence of widespread election fraud. Anyway, guys, when and if I hear more, I'll let you know. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.